Today, we examine an online service that matches up intergenerational roommates. We'll explain that next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter, and welcome to City Corner. Well, finding a roommate can be a tricky proposition in any circumstance, that's for sure. But Odd Couples Housing puts a whole new twist on it. Please welcome Charlie Eaton. He has the story. Hi, Charlie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Odd Couples Housing. Just generally, Charlie, explain that concept.
Sure. Yep. We are a service that brings together healthy, active, older adults with compatible and responsible younger adults to share housing. Essentially, we're an online service matched with, well, we have staff that we call our match team. Essentially, what homeowners and what we call seekers, those are the younger adults looking for a room. Homeowners can list their platform or list their home on our platform. They go through, kind of fill out a profile about their home, fill out kind of what they're looking for in a roommate. And then they take a personality survey, and then seekers as well go through and put in, what their desired room, their desired move-in date is, kind of what budget they're looking for. They also kind of talk about what they're looking for, in a roommate, fill out another personality survey. And then our product then matches those individuals together with our matching algorithm. And then seekers have the ability to request to meet homeowners. And then if those homeowners decide they want to meet, our match team kind of facilitates those meet and greets. And then the homeowner and the seeker, if they decide that they want to, keep going further, they have an opportunity to get discounted background checks, get to know each other a little bit. They negotiate their own kind of home sharing agreement, which can talk about expectations of living together, what the amount is going to be that they're going to pay. They have an opportunity to talk about sharing expenses from an aspect of, a lot of our seekers will agree to, do chores around the house or run errands or complete certain tasks. And oftentimes homeowners are willing to reduce that shared expense rate for completing those things. And then they move in together.
Wow. There's a lot there that you just said I want to ask you about. Charlie, your job title is Chief Product Officer. I've never heard that job title before. Does that just mean you're the manager?
So my responsibilities really are about, one is understanding what our homeowners and seekers are looking for, what their needs are from an aspect of home sharing. But also I'm responsible for making sure that our online product, meets those expectations, that the user experience is really easy to use and simple to get through. And then, other concerns as far as, marketing and promotions and, coming on shows like City Corner.
Well, Charlie, I'm so curious about all this because, if someone had just explained the concept to me, I probably would have said, this sounds crazy. Like it's not going to work. It just sounds crazy. Of mixing up older people with younger people and they're going to live together. Where did this concept start? How did it begin? What kind of background can you give me?
Sure. So the original idea came from one of our founders. Had two relatives that were living in the same condominium building together, and they both had separate condos in that building. And things like expenses started to be a concern as they grew older. And the idea was, why don't the two of you move in together? Your twin sisters. This would probably work. And so they moved in together, and it worked really, really great. And they kind of thought, there has to be a need for something like this. And so we kind of, put ourselves to task on doing the research. So we kind of went to Washington University's Olin Business School and kind of put the idea to them and said, let's do a research project and find out, if there's really a need for it. And one of the things that they came back with was they said, we really love this idea. But we would love to be the people that are moving into these homes. We're looking for stable housing. We're looking for affordable housing. Oftentimes there's issues with on-campus living being available, or even just the cost of having a one-bedroom apartment in many cities can really consume a lot of their income. And so, we did some more research and, decided to build a product. And, so far we've had just a little under 100 matches since we've been in existence since 2018. And we have people, homeowners and seekers signing up every day.
Huh. Am I understanding it right? This idea didn't originate in St. Louis, did it?
The idea did not originate in St. Louis. Our research showed that there are other companies doing kind of similar roommate sharing applications. Larger companies that are just saying, hey, if you want to find a room, there are some government or nonprofit programs that are trying to match older adults from a sense of people being able to age in place and things like that. Our focus really has been being purpose driven. We have a lot of academic people on our staff that are very passionate about, older people being able to age in place, intergenerational communications, the opportunities of two generations living together and what they can contribute to each other. Our product really is focused on that community aspect, creating a sustainable housing future. So we believe really our purpose is really what differentiates us from other products or attempts in the marketplace.
You just used a term that I'd seen in your paperwork and stuff earlier. I was going to ask you about. That's age in place. Would you kind of define that?
Sure, sure. Yeah, a couple of statistics kind of to set the stage for that. The population of people over the age of 55 continues to grow. By the year 2030, people over the age of 65 will grow by 65%. People are wanting to stay home longer. People are healthier. They want to be able to age in their own homes. AARP says, that 87% of people over the age of 65 want to age in their own homes. And so being able to provide alternatives for them to be able to do that is something that we're passionate about as well.
There must be some parameters or something when you're talking about older people and younger people living together, and these are people that don't know one another. So this must be something you address and figure out. I'm just doing stereotypes in my head, okay? So I apologize ahead of time. But oh, an older person probably wants to stay in and watch TV and go to bed early, but maybe the younger person wants to play loud music and have friends over. How do you figure all this out ahead of time that that's going to work?
Actually, those questions are a part of our online survey when homeowners and seekers are both signing up. We ask questions about, will you allow your roommate to have overnight guests? Are there any additional rules like no loud music after 9 p.m.? And many of these things too, after we set kind of some of those initial questions that we ask, these we have kind of some guides for homeowners and seekers when they meet on topics to discuss about living together and kind of what that moving in and out of the home really looks like for the both of them.
Because I would think from your perspective, from odd couples housing, from people like you want you don't want any negative things to happen to begin with. So I would just think you're extra careful about all this pre-screening.
Absolutely, we are. Our match team staff, is our coordinator on that one. Our director is, she has a degree in social work and has a lot of experience in just, interpersonal communications and being able to help these two individuals navigate that initial meeting space and help them understand what their needs are and how to communicate with each other and things like that. So yeah, that's really kind of the personal touch aspect that we think is critical to being able to create matches that will not only work together, living together, but many of them, oftentimes create lifelong relationships.
Well, how successful are you? I mean, yeah, 99% successful with the hookups.
I would say, yeah. I mean, it's very high. We've only had a couple of matches that, some reason, whether it be, education took them to another city, and they had to move out, or certain quirks that they realized about each other. The match didn't really work out very well. Oftentimes, we've been able to place that seeker with another homeowner that was a better match and be able to place a seeker with that other homeowner that's a better match as well. But yeah, we have a very high success rate thus far.
And has COVID changed the thing in the last year? Changed much for you the way you do this at all?
It has changed a little bit the way we do things. Most of that has been, encouraging our homeowners and seekers to communicate openly and transparently about their concerns about COVID. Be open about testing or health or comings and goings. As far as the business is concerned, obviously 2020 we saw a drop in signups with people being concerned about those kinds of things. But in 2021, with vaccines becoming much more available, especially here in St. Louis, which is where we're primarily located. We've seen our signups for homeowners and seekers just in the first 3 months this year has already encompassed our entire signups for the whole year of 2020.
Well, Charlie, I watch Dateline. So so I'm just wondering, I bet you do a lot of background checks and things like that just to make sure who you're dealing with.
So the background checks are left to the homeowners and seekers to decide that they want to do themselves. So we have a provider that gives them a discounted background check. So, if a homeowner wants to do a background check on a seeker, we have a process that they can go through to, request that background check, and then the seeker approves running that background check. And then the background check provider gives that information to the homeowner. We don't personally do background checks or store any of that kind of information in our platform, but we do encourage our homeowners, if there are things that they're concerned about, we want to provide them with the services to, alleviate those concerns.
But sort of the bottom line, it seems to be working. And why do you think this is such a good thing?
Well, I think it's a good thing for a few reasons. For homeowners and seekers, there's oftentimes you immediately think of the financial benefits of being able to find an affordable place to live that doesn't consume 70% of your disposable income. Oftentimes homeowners are on fixed incomes or could use just a little extra money, to help with things around the house. But really, what we have found in 100% of the matches that we've had put together is that the friendships and the companionship that happens between these two individuals is something that adds to quality of life. Their ability to learn from each other and kind of their different perspectives on how they grew up and what their experiences have been have made some wonderful conversations for them and really built friendships that will last a lifetime. And I think that community aspect of bringing people together from cross generations and many times even different cultures from around the world is a benefit that we're very, very, very excited about, continuing to grow.
Well, Charlie Eaton, it sounds like a wonderful thing that you're doing. And we're going to find out more in the next segment with someone that's actually been a part of the program. What's the best way, in just a few seconds we have left, the best way for someone to find out more about this?
The best way is just to visit www.oddcoupleshousing.com. There are informational pages there for homeowners and for seekers to learn more about their own experience. We have news and information that kind of has some guides and articles to learn even more about what it's like to get ready to move into someone else's home and kind of living together with other people. And right there on the website, there's an ability to sign up and they can go through and create their online profile and hopefully find a match.
Well, Charlie, thank you for sharing with us. And I can't wait to meet someone that's been personally involved in this coming up next. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We'll have more on Odd Couples Housing right after this on City Corner.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, It just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
If you smoked, this new lung cancer screening could save your life. Visit SaveByTheScan.org.
Visitors and residents love the St. Louis Zoo because it's free. There's a train, a carousel, opportunities to make new friends, and plenty of fun learning experiences with the animals 363 days a year. So come and experience St. Louis.
I'm Steve Potter, and welcome back to City Corner. Odd Couples Housing, as we heard in the first segment, matches healthy older adults with young, responsible adults to share housing. And to sort of explain that whole concept a little bit better, watch this commercial.
I love my independence, and I can't imagine living anywhere but at home. So when my daughter mentioned sharing my extra room through Odd Couples Housing, it sounded like a great solution. Now I have a new friend who can help me with some things around the house, and she has a safe, affordable place to live.
Odd Couples Housing brought us together.
And it was a perfect match. To find your match, go to oddcoupleshousing.com.
Well, please welcome our next guests who have had firsthand experience at Odd Couples Housing. It's Karen Krinsky, who joins us with her daughter, Jane. Hi, welcome to both of you.
Welcome.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
This is such an interesting concept. It was all sort of new to me. I learned a lot about it in this last segment. But I'm wondering, how did you guys first find out about this? Did you see a commercial like the one we just saw, or how did it come to your attention?
It's EJ.
That's a great question. I was looking for something after her husband passed away, and I found a little note about it online about this pilot project that was happening. And so I reached out to an intern at the time with that organization, and they got me connected. But it was definitely happenstance that I came across it.
Well, Karen, I'm just wondering what your first response was to the idea, because I said earlier in the program that if I just heard about this concept, I would have thought it was crazy. Like, how can that work?
Yeah.
When your daughter first came to you with this, were you skeptical?
Yes, I was a little bit, but the more she talked to me and Lauren talked to me, then I felt more comfortable with the idea, because she had explained to me that she would interview the person that would be staying with me as well as myself, and she would match the person up that way. And so I felt comfortable, more comfortable with it.
So Jane, you took the responsibility for all that.
Yeah, I think her initial reaction was like, what does that mean? Like, I'm not odd. I think that was your reaction, actually.
Yeah, I can understand that. Hey, Karen, just for a little background, before your daughter brought up Odd Couples Housing to you and that whole concept, just what was your life about? Just tell me, did you live alone? What were you doing? Just what was your life like?
Yeah, I lived alone. I had 3 dogs, and I live in a fairly big house, so I knew it was going to be a trip for me to take care of everything. But I wanted to stay here in this house. And, so my son and daughter both were trying to find things for me that would help out a little bit. So that's about it.
Well, Jane, I'm sure you must approach this very cautiously. It is your mom, after all. And there are a lot of younger people you probably wouldn't want living in there. So did it take some convincing for you to think this was a good idea?
Yes, I was the part of my brother and I don't live here, so we were extra cautious about making sure we found the right fit. If something went wrong, we couldn't rush right over here. So I think what made me feel better was that Odd Couples has an algorithm they use. They look at personality and temperament and all of these different factors. That made me a little bit more comfortable than posting an ad on Craigslist or something.
So Karen, did Jane narrow it down for you? Did you just end up meeting one person, or do you meet several people and think about it?
No, at that time, I just met one person. Lauren picked out somebody that was a close match to me, which seemed to help. And the person and I just hit it off right away.
What were some of, I'm sure you don't remember all the process you went through and all the questions and something, but what were you sort of looking for? And what about this person that ended up at your home? What about that person appealed to you
Yeah.
or stuck with you?
Well, I think I wanted somebody that was a little on the quiet side, because that's how I am. Somebody who didn't like to go party and all that. She was married and she had children, and I will never have children myself, but I love kids. I used to be a pediatric nurse, so I was happy she had children, and then she could bring the children here sometimes for us to just react. So
what's your roomie's first name?
oh, now I have two, Chris and Robbie, but at the time it was Megan.
So this has been working for you, or you wouldn't have been continuing and have two more. That's really interesting.
Right, yeah.
You said you have that's got to help a little bit. The size of, I would think a 4-room house would be different than a 7-room house when it comes to making this a little easier. You said you had a big house.
Well, it is a fairly big house. We have 3 bedrooms and an office space, which my husband built because he worked from home. So we have those spaces. We have a big kitchen and a dining room and a living room, and all the rooms are fairly big. So I think,
is it like you see these people every day and in contact with them, or is it just sporadically, or a little of both, or how does that work?
well, if they're at home, and now they're of course doing school from home, then I see them, like if they come up to get some water, or they come up to go to the bathroom or whatever, then I do see them quite a bit. And then at night, they might come out and watch TV with me, or do something. Maybe we'll all go out for dinner, or I'll make a dinner, or I'll see them then.
Gee, Jane, what, from your perspective, what do you think this arrangement, this situation does for your mom?
So the most critical part is giving her companionship. Like I said, my brother and I aren't here with her, and she can't drive, so she's kind of isolated here in her house, which is so detrimental, for your mental well-being. So I think that's the number one benefit. And then she also gets help with like lifting heavy dog food and things around the house. Yeah, lots of benefits.
Karen, tell me about your 2 roommates. What would you like to share about them? I just want to know.
Well, they're both
their personality
wonderful.
or whatever.
Yeah, they're both wonderful. One person is married, and sometimes he goes home on the weekends, which is great. He's very, I don't know, he's very cooperative. I suppose that would be the best word to talk about it. And the other gentleman is from Tennessee, and he's just so much, so understanding, and just is very, like when I get sick, he's really cares about about me and what's going on.
Jane, this would be conjecture on your part, but I could see your mom just kind of describe some of the positives for her. What do you think because you're in the younger category, so what do you think the younger people get out of it?
So I think, and I actually did this where I live, they get reduced housing. Housing is so expensive, especially if you have student loans. And both of the students who live with her are in graduate level programs that are very expensive. So I think it's definitely advantageous from a financial perspective. And they're also older students, so they're both of them have expressed preference to, room with someone who's a little bit older versus a young 20-year-old student, because they have more in common. So I think for several benefits.
This whole concept is new to me. I didn't hear about odd couples housing until just recently, and it's fascinating. And I just realized that I didn't realize it at the time, but I went through the same experience. I'll just relate the story to you really quickly, and I think you'll see the similarities. When I was 31 years old, I was looking for a job, and I wanted to move to St. Louis and get a job in the big city. And of course, I didn't have any money at 31 or anything. But my 95-year-old grandmother happened to live by herself here. So I moved in with her, and it's almost sort of the same thing, except of course I knew her ahead of time. But I did
Yeah.
things like the laundry, grocery shopping, a little yard work, and she did all the cooking and let me live there for free. And we bonded and really had a great relationship because of it. So that's what it sounds like to me.
Mhm. Yes, that is. I mean, I have them take the trash down, and Chris, well, he also, this Robbie, he takes the trash down. He'll do outdoor things, and sometimes I don't even ask him; he just does it. And then Chris will do anything in the house I ask him to do. He'll help us outside also, but he doesn't seem to just go right out and do it. About a week ago, I guess, our dog had a surgery, and they both helped getting him in and out of the car, and because he's a very big dog, so that helped us out.
It's kind of nice having somebody there. I wonder, you probably find things in common with a younger person you didn't realize you had. Is there one TV show that you all like?
Sports.
Okay, there you go. I want to remind people if they want to look into this, they can find out more at oddcoupleshousing.com, oddcoupleshousing.com. And if it's the right fit, it seems so beneficial. Just to wrap things up, what in 30 seconds, what's the positive thing that's the way that it's affected your life?
Oh, it is definitely the fact that the communication and the comrade, just that part, otherwise there wouldn't be anybody in the house with me. And I just feel more comfortable with somebody here.
Well, I'm so glad that's happening for you. And Karen, it must give you a wonderful feeling too, to know that somebody that cares about your mom is around her. So it just seems like a win-win. I want to thank you both so much, Karen and Jane, for joining us. And have a wonderful new year. I hope it keeps getting better.
Yes, I do too.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
so
you.
much. Well, that's Odd Couples Housing. Look into it. What a fascinating idea, and it seems to work. I'm Steve Potter, and that's it for this edition of City Corner. Join us next time. Thanks for watching.